It happened. I'm here.
I just unmuted.
Hello. Welcome to this week's State of the Galaxies. The camera should like power zoom in right there. Okay, so let's see. This is going to be a pretty short one because there weren't a lot of questions in the thread to answer. I did this time manage to catch a little bit of the settle it on the screen. And I heard that, I think it was Glenn Updike, he said that he's giving up Nintendo to switch to Sega. And
That's confirmed.
right?
Yeah,
That's confirmed.
Yep.
Yep, it is confirmed, yes.
Yeah.
Genesis is his new screen name.
Yeah, Glenesis is his new name.
Glenesis. Well, listen, I thought it was interesting that he freely admitted that he had been wasting his time ever touching a Nintendo. I thought that was a bit much, but hey, everybody can have their own feelings. And now he's switched
Nintendo
over
has
to
a
Sega.
couple good. I mean,
Yeah, Nintendo's good.
yeah, it's really good.
It's
system.
just
Well, you know,
Right,
that's what I would have
same.
said, but he seemed pretty adamant that he had wasted all of his time.
Yeah,
What,
see, I think he
what
would
did he call it?
respond-
He called it a crappy system. Is that what he said? I can't remember.
everything. Anything made by Sega's.
Look, I might be misinterpreting internet jumble stuff because there's, you know, the tubes. There's lots of tubes that make up the internet.
Now, I think that Glenn is not responding right now because he's in his car driving to Jace's location. So,
I see. He wants
That
to
may
give
be
me
why
an
he's not.
honorary Sega Master System.
yeah, I think so.
Yes.
And he wants to shake your hand to say you got it all correct.
Yeah,
Right.
That's right.
Remember, Glenesis does what Nintendo, what Glendo doesn't. Something like that. I can't remember. Am I sidetracked? Okay, let me get back on track. Okay, for those of you who have just
You're right on track, man.
look, for those of you who have just tuned in and have never seen State of the Galaxies, TwinGalaxies.com, and Twin Galaxies itself is an organization that tracks video game player achievement and world records and has player rankings across all platforms, mobile phones included. And what we do every couple of weeks is this State of the Galaxies, where we talk about issues that have come up, you know, as we expand the site, cool things that are on the way, answer questions, and that sort of thing. So that's what this show is. It's 100% about video game culture and interest and serious players who want to not only play the games that they play, but show the world how good they are and compete amongst each other to really see who's the best and have fun while doing it. So that's what this show is, if you've stumbled into it. Nothing quite like it. If you go to twingalaxies.com, you can see all the player rankings and world rankings and the platforms. And if you think you're good at a game, prove it. Don't do this. Start submitting. Show us. Show us the money. Show us the money. Okay, it doesn't cost anything, which I think the show us the money thing, it's kind of, anyway. See Data God, I see, there's like a bunch of people in the chat. Okay, cool. So let's move on. Boom. Right at this second, this is what the engineers are working on. And these will be completed and fixed first, like within the day or next couple days or whatever. So there's been a lot of question about the free tracks. Let me explain the free tracks. For those who are just tuning in, don't understand what the hell this is. In Twin Galaxies, we've got many, many thousands of games that we keep track of. And in each one of those games, there are different rule sets for different levels or for different types of accomplishments within a game. So if you took Donkey Kong, for example, you could play the game not using the hammer that can destroy the barrels. That would be considered a track underneath the Donkey Kong arcade game. But then you can also have another track where you allow the hammer. So the rule sets are different for different tracks. Anyway, there's always new games coming out. There's always different games that people are interested in, and you're talking about thousands and thousands and thousands of games. So in order for Twin Galaxies to keep up and make sure that it's adding the tracks that are of interest, it's created a system that allows the players, the participating members of Twin Galaxies, they can create their own tracks. They effectively are able to buy and sponsor a new track into the database. by utilizing credits that they've accrued by participating in the community. So you participate in the community, you accrue value, and then you can use that value to accomplish other things inside of the Twin Galaxies universe. One of those things are creating a new game track to compete on with rule sets and everything. Now, one of the things that came up in the process of implementing that technology to support that is if you have a game like, there's like a pinball game, and the pinball, when you sponsor in, hey, I want this pinball game to be tracked, well, that pinball game might have a bunch of different pinball machines in it. And so there might be, you know, the Black Knight 2000 pinball machine, and there could be a Star Trek pinball machine, and there could be, you know, some other pinball machine, right? There's 3 different machines, so you'd have 3 different tracks, but our system only lets you buy 1 track, and they're expensive, relatively. And so you don't want to have to buy, you know, if you've bought the pinball game, but then there's all these pinball levels, so to speak, underneath it, you shouldn't have to buy every single level if the rules are going to stay the same for everyone. 3 balls, maximum score. So we've been working on a way to make it so that if you were the founder of a track, that if you want to add more derivative tracks underneath the master track you've created, you could do so without any cost. Well, it turns out implementing that has a lot more challenges and permutations than one would think when you go, oh, that's easy. No. So it's taken longer than we anticipated to implement that, but we're on the cusp of finishing that up and making sure that if you are a founder of a track that you're able to derive additional tracks underneath. Really what happens is you'll find the game that you or the track that you founded, and then it'll give you an option to create a new description, but the rules will have to stay the same, so you won't be able to alter that. And the platform will stay the same, so you won't be able to alter that. So you'll just be able to create new descriptions, and so you'll be able to do level 1, level 2, level 3, level 4, level 5, and it won't cost you anything. And of course, you still are a founder of those tracks as well. So that's being worked on. Next thing is the database tree. We've imported over 30,000 speedrun tracks, and the way that they are organized is slightly different than the way the traditional Twin Galaxies tracks had been organized. So they actually required a hierarchy. An example would be, let's say you have a speed run on Mario 64, or it's not really a great example, but let's just pretend. We're going to pretend for a second. So you'll have a speed run on Mario 64, and let's say Mario 64 has 20 levels, okay? But there's 3 difficulty settings: easy, medium, hard. So what that means is you'll have speed runs on easy for the 20 levels. Then you'll have speed runs on medium for the 20 levels, and then the speed runs on hard for the 20 levels. Each one of those, they're separate, they're different challenges. So to display that in our database and organize it has just taken time to figure out how to do it right and have it make sense and get the trees right and not find errors and blah, 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 blah. So that's being worked on too. All this stuff, you know, you click on Twin Galaxies, all this stuff, man, takes way more work than it looks like at first. But, you know, we're working through it. And then, of course, we implemented infinite scrolling. People reported some errors and some challenges with that, so we've gone back and we're working on it to make it not have those errors and address some of the user interface issues and all that. So that's being worked on as well. One thing you may have noticed is in the database. Let me hop over to that because it will be cool. Oh, look, I'm on the tournament.vg in the Internet Gaming Bash of the Year, and Twin Galaxies in first place. Ooh, that's interesting to me. Okay, so let's go to twingalaxies.com. Let's go to the database for a second. You may have noticed that the front page has changed a little bit, that it's a little bit friendlier and easier to read and to use, and you're seeing some of these changes. We're continuing to refine and modify the site so that it's as user-friendly as possible We'll be changing this top part here with these buttons soon, so it's even easier and less complicated. And so we're excited about the fact that that's improving. But this is what I wanted to show you. So if I go to the database, and let's say we'll pick, I don't know, Apple II GS, something you've probably never loaded up. Well, if I click View, lo and behold, Rastan appears. If I click it, or Thexter. Here, I'll click Thexter. What you're seeing here is the box and the screen image. There are thousands and thousands of games in this database, all that needed images. Now, it used to be that the user base could upload its own images, but what was only happening was only certain ones were being uploaded and not the entire scope of the Twin Galaxies database. So here, I'm on Atari. Let's see if I can find an empty one. Nope. Let's see. Any empty ones? Nope. The reason that they're not empty is because Twin Galaxies is brute force adding 60,000 images to the database for every single game with their box and a screenshot, if we could find one, for every single game on every single platform in every single thing in the entire database. Once we finish that, we will then open it up so that the users can then add images, but we're going to give the entire user base the foundation so that everything, so there's always an image associated with each game. This is important because as we get into mobile and Facebook, more sharing and stuff like that, you can pull up the appropriate image for the score that's there and all this other stuff. But I cannot tell you how brutally hard it is to go through the database inch by inch trying to find every single game. In fact, I don't even know how far the team has gotten into this, but let's look and see if they found. Here is what, the Atari SC450. Did they find anything here, Stunt Cycle? Well, they found a box and they found the image, but they have not found the screenshot. But that just tells you how deep they're having to go for some of these more esoteric things. Did they get all the Atari 7800 stuff? Let's take a look. Yep, Summer Games Atari 7800. There it is. The box, whole 9 yards. Again, this is all being added for the speedrun tracks. I think if I go and I look at speedruns, which is at the top here, and let's try Adventures in the Magic Kingdom of speedruns. There it is, boom, image, all the speedruns. So let's be clear, we're working hard with the community to make Twin Galaxies the place. That's it. We have definitely more tracks than any other place. We will have all the images populated for all of the tracks. Guinness is excited about this, and I'll get into some of the Guinness stuff too. But we're working to make the site easier and easier. And what you will soon see is a platform selection screen that is actually all the graphics we're having custom graphics created for every single platform. So now you can find the Atari Jaguar by just seeing it and clicking it, and then it will show you. Well, you'd see the Atari logo. So when you click that, it would take you to the Atari platforms, and then you could click that. And that will make, we're also going to be able to use those icons for the adjudication threads. So when you're in the submission review forum, on the left side of all of the things, you'll actually see the platform icon, nice and big, so you'll be able to see, oh, that's Atari, that's Game Boy, that's mobile. And then up at the top here, you'll have filters that are all based on the images. So you just click the image, you click the Game Boy image, boom, it's all pre-filtered. So you'll just get nothing but Game Boy submissions to look at, so forth and so on. So all of that is being worked on. Moving on. Scoreboard errors. This always slows us down. So we work on some things, scoreboard errors come up, and then we immediately try to address the scoreboard errors as we are going. This is where the community has been invaluable in terms of reporting errors and letting us know what to fix and fix it. I mean, you know, when we got this database, it was it was in need of love, tender, warm, tendery love, and so that's what we've been trying to give it as a total group, right? And you know, the database is sharper, better, the whole nine, and scoreboard errors. We try to address immediately, but just know when we do that, it slows us down on some of this other stuff. It's yin yang. Moving on. Igby 2. For those who are just watching, Igby, the Internet Gaming Bash of the Year, Part 2, is sort of a, do I call it an underground tournament? Is it an underground tournament? Or is it just a tournament that, like, would appear underground only because it's not been more popularized, but it's climbing out from under the ground as it gets more popular. So no, let's call it the tournament that got planted underground like a seed, and it's growing into this wonderful tree, and it eventually will become this forest and its own continent. That's what it is. It's really great to see how the community of Twin Galaxies organized itself to enter this tournament that's taking place. It's great to see this tournament taking place. You know, it's not a Twin Galaxies tournament, but we support it. We support the community in general who wants to do game playing. That's what all of this has been about. So, you know, you may have seen the post where, well, I talked about it in the last State of the Galaxies, like somehow incentivizing the team on Twin Galaxies team to, you know, just reward the hard effort at kicking ass, because I'd love for the Twin Galaxies to kick ass. And so we came up with this idea of the top 5 players on the team getting hoodies, all the players getting submission points. So, you know, you're getting something, at least something, aside from having the fun and competing. But I'd like, you know, home base, Twin Galaxies, to know that that the team is supported on some level. Bring home some wins so that we can upgrade the support for next time or for the next tournament or something like that. Let's try to bring it all in. But you know, all of this is great. It's great to see all these games being played. It's great to see all the activity and people talking. And honestly, if Twin Galaxies doesn't win, that's okay. It's, you know, it'd be great for whatever site or group wins. It's all in good fun. But if Twin Galaxies could bring home the bacon, maybe Don Atreides can give a little more motivational speeches. And I'm just saying that, you know, it would be kind of cool. And
No, we're going to win.
Well, listen, I saw that there was a big leap that Twin Galaxies made at the beginning, but another team, PNS, which is interesting team name. Let's go and let's take a look at this, shall we?
So they're climbing up. They're clawing their way up, but we're still staying ahead. So they've been following us second place.
Look at that.
Pretty much the whole time.
Team PNS is in second. Retro Uprising, bless their souls, is in third. Donkey Kong Forum. What the Donkey Kong Forum lacks in placing, they more than make up for in shoutbox technique. Always entertaining to look at that shoutbox. Those guys make some of the funniest statements ever. I mean, some of the images they post are, I don't have the words. In any case, Atari Age, I'm glad to see. To me, this is just great to see. Whether Twin Galaxies is in first or not. Of course, there's no shame in coming in first. But keep going, man. This is going to be really cool. We will also feature the team. If you guys win, you guys got to send us little 30-second video clips of yourselves so that we can edit together like a really cool compilation video like the compilation Twin Galaxies victory video or something like that, and we'll put it on Twin Galaxies Live and let everybody see it and put it on our commercial loop. And I keep looking up here because that's where Skype is for me. I can see people's faces. All right, so let's hop back.
Yeah, we can just get those clips filmed now
Wow.
and send them in.
Listen,
I don't know if you need to place the hoodies order in advance.
I
Like if there's a processing time or anything like that.
the confidence is always helpful when trying to bring home the bacon. It doesn't hurt to have a healthy dose of confidence. Is your last name really Atreides? It's actually Atreides.
That is my real last name.
So
That's what's on my driver's license.
You're actually from House Atreides.
That's my house is House Atreides. That's
I
correct.
can't. That is. Do you have any idea how awesome that is? Like.
It is pretty awesome.
Oh my goodness. Okay. Anyway, sidetrack. Moving on. As soon as I get to the end of this, I'll look at the text chat. What is the status of the multi-track issue, where the first track is sponsored, the other tracks would be free? See, this is the question, and I answered it. The status is we are working on it, and any minute now, any hour, any day now, the free track stuff will be handled, and then we can get everything populated properly. And it's just a little more complicated than we thought, and there were other things like scoreboard errors that detract us. We're constantly being hack attacked, constantly. So I have to deal with that. Of course, they fail, which is fine. But you wake up in the morning and you see, it's like, you know what it is? It's like you wake up in the morning. Imagine you live in this fortress, right? And the outside of the fortress is like metal. So then you wake up in the morning, you open up the door, you come out and you stretch, yawn, you turn around and you see all these dents in your metal door in your front. You're like, oh, someone was trying to get in. Oh man, they messed up the front. We got to straighten out the metal. It's ugly now, right? So there's just been a continued escalation to try to take the site down. Continued. And no dice so far, right? We stand strong. It's a different Twin Galaxies, not quite as easy as it was to take down. But, we appreciate the attention, and we also want you to know, who's ever doing this, that you're spending more time trying to take us down than we spend time defending it. You're just putting in way more hours than we are. I'm just saying. And that's fine if you want to do that, but I don't know. It seems like diminishing returns. Why don't you take that energy and get a 30 million jump on Zookeeper? That will impress me. I'll tell you what.
Because they can't.
I'll tell you what. If they legitimately get an arcade 30 million jump on the Twin Galaxies tournament settings and have it recorded and it is verified by the community, I will take Twin Galaxies down offline for a whole day. So you will have successfully hacked Twin Galaxies with a Zookeeper 30 million jump. How about that? How's that deal? I'd love to see that. There's never been a recorded 30 million jump in the history of ever. I've seen one. There's a save state on YouTube from MAME, but an arcade 30 million jump. Show me the
I think that would be the ultimate, right? My score was so good, it shut down Twin Galaxies.
I will give that person that. A 30 million recorded Zookeeper arcade jump, totally legit. You've got to do something to honor that, because that's like that. I mean, that's capturing a unicorn fart at the edge of the rainbow on a rainy-less day while you're sleeping, not even moving. Okay, that's how rare it is. So there you go. Moving on. Can tracks for the Xbox 360, PAL and NTSC, be combined? There's no reason for them to be split, as they don't run different speeds like old cartridge-based consoles. This is FX. Not done FX period. I do not know what that means. Not done on the Xbox Live Arcade titles, and it would also increase the competition. All right. I haven't looked into this. Logically, it would seem that you would combine them because the Xbox 360 is well past the NTSC PAL issue. Does anybody in the chat have any reason to think that this is something that we shouldn't do? I mean,
The only reason I can think that they would be different would be on specific games, where let's say the Xbox 360 version was released with a certain, like, if you buy the Xbox 360 version, you get this extra weapon or something like that. So differences like that. Other than that, I don't see any
well, you're
reason.
talking between platforms, but this is the same platform, PAL and NTSC.
No, nah, nothing. There's nothing.
We should just combine them then.
I think so. Barthax, Andrew Pete Me, I would say is the expert on this, and I'm guessing he might be the guy who submitted the question. So if he doesn't see an issue, I would say there's probably no issue.
I can't think of an issue.
Not really. It has to do with the refresh rate, and they're all the same now. With modern and digital, it doesn't really make any difference.
Can somebody post a new thread on this to just get sort of a last opinion before we just go ahead and combine these? Because once I combine them, it's not uncombining them will be harder. But once I can combine them pretty easily. But if someone can start a thread so that it reminds me in the 100 million other things that I got to do. So let me tell you some other. Well, let me keep going here. Games available both as digital downloads and physical disc releases have separate tracks in the database. I tried to mention this as the tracks were created, but it fell to deaf ears. Twin Galaxies mean to have 2 tracks for the same game. Well, this sort of goes towards what you were saying, Don, which is
Right, which is platform, yeah.
Is there but is there a difference between digital downloads and physical disc releases?
Not really. I think there might be specific instances of it, but generally speaking, not. So for instance, a lot of games are going to digital only now, especially with the next generation. So Street Fighter 4, for instance, is going to be download only on PS4. But is it the same game? I don't know. I think so, but it might actually be different. It might be a bad example.
See, this is hard. I think for now, we should just since the community is adding these new tracks, I think for now we should let them be separated, because we don't have a definitive way of knowing if the physical disc is exactly the same as the digital download.
It probably is on the newer consoles, so like the Wii U, the PS4.
Is it? Like, I wonder,
yeah.
do you, maybe on a digital download, you'll get, some characters that you don't get on the physical disc?
Now, that's possible, but I would say that's probably going to more come as DLC. So, like, the PlayStation 4 comes with, if you buy it now, it comes with Last of Us, which is a zombie game.
Right.
And it's a straight-up download. There's just a thing in there where you just download it straight, and as far as I can tell, it's identical to the disc version. There's no additional stuff with it. If there was different stuff, then it would have to be a different track, or you'd have to specify that the track does not include other DLC or other stuff like that. But I don't know. It's a tough one. I'm inclined to agree. I think maybe it would be best to wait at least until stuff is very solid, until it's very clear how it's going to be going forward. But I will say that the PS4 at least, and I think the Xbox One, going to straight up digital like Steam does. Digital downloads for games are going to be a lot more popular. The Wii U is actually already heavy into that, where you just buy the game right there. It's the same price as the the same price as the physical disc, and you just download it straight to the hard drive.
Right. Okay. What we'll do, we'll table this one, and all of us will keep an eye on it collectively, and then maybe in a few months look at it again and see if an obvious answer emerges.
Now, actually, sorry if I can throw one quick thing, and that goes back to my platform thing. So like Pinball Arcade for the PlayStation 4 versus the Xbox One versus the PC, the competition's going to be very spread out there.
Well, only because wait until I spoke of a super secret magical thing the last State of the Galaxies that I couldn't talk about. I can't speak about it any further than that, other than to say that it will result in a lot of people coming to participate at Twin Galaxies. And that may solve the spread out issue when you have several million participants right, instead of thousands. If you move from thousands to millions, some things change. We might not have that concern that you're talking about. But I think that super secret big ultimate thing of bigness, believe me, it will change the universe. So make sure you get well established inside of Twin Galaxies and get your scores and your rankings in, and before so many people are there. It's like you get to right now, you're getting to run around Disneyland with only 500 people in it. And it's nice. You can get on the rides, you can do all kinds of fun things, but the minute, 10,000 are sitting in there, it's like a different amusement park experience. Lines get longer. Anyway, let's move on. That's the end of that. Let me talk a little bit about a couple of things that are coming up. We haven't advertised this yet. There's still some loose ends, but I think this is pretty much talk aboutable. On July 10th, Steve Wiebe is going to be attempting a Donkey Kong world record. Don, did you hear about this?
No, not at all.
So at the Mall of America, Steve Wiebe is going to be out there, and he's going to attempt a Donkey Kong world record on July 10th. And we were notified about this, and so I think I might fly out there and broadcast it live on Twin Galaxies. July 11th, Patudost, he knew. So that's interesting. I'm still trying. I'm not 100% sure I'm going to make the trip, but I'm like 80% sure. I got to do some technical things back here to see if we can do it. To broadcast it. I've never met Steve Wiebe before. But he is sort of exclusively as an exhibition going to go for it. And I think we all want to watch that, don't we? We got to see that, right? I mean, I'm just saying we got to see it. Wait, hey.
It's the 11th, yes.
Pitudos is trying to post a link. Neo? Is Neo around? Anybody around? Nick? They left me all alone here, man. They went to go get food. Oh, Jace is talking. Let me go get food. Wait, there he is. Can you let Pitudos post a link? All right. So you're going to be able to post a link. Okay, so there's that. Then tentatively on July 25th, and a special event will take place here at Twin Galaxies Live. As you know, the Pixels movie is coming out on the 24th. Right? The Pixels movie is coming out on the 24th. So, in celebration of that, we're going to have a Pac-Man marathon event here live. But wait, it gets better. As some of you know, the Pac-Man 25th anniversary edition and the 20th anniversary and the 30th have a slightly different version of Pac-Man. Slightly. And that slight difference suddenly made it possible to get past level 256 that goes to garbage. And it can go on to 257 and 8 and all this other stuff. And so we're going to have some of the top Pac-Man players in the world come and compete head-to-head on 4 machines that we're having custom built with these anniversaries editions to see who can marathon Pac-Man the longest. So it's going to be Dwayne Richard and 3 other known Pac-Man kill screen champions who are going to go live head-to-head and try to take Pac-Man to the absolute max. So not only will you see Pac-Man get kill screen, but then you're going to see, out of these guys who can kill screen Pac-Man, who can go the furthest. Just period. So it'll be really interesting. And so we'll have these 4 arcade machines set up. They're being built now as we speak. It's not cheap. all with the correct PC boards and all this other stuff. And so they'll be playing, and then we'll have commentating the entire time, guest commentators, and you'll be able to watch it. So it will be a big deal. Yes, sir. And what else? I think those are the only things I can talk about at this moment.
Oh, I had a question for you.
Yes.
From PTU Dose in the chat, there was a question which was, what about the ability to challenge existing records?
What do you mean? I don't know what that means exactly.
So let's say that there's a record in the database that I'm sorry, yeah, that wasn't very clear. There's a record in the database that they don't think is legit, and they have some evidence that they think
Okay.
they can
Oh,
prove
you're
it's not
talking about
legit.
the questionable score stuff.
Questionable scores, right?
That is going to get got to, but it's just not. The priority of that is not higher than some of these other functionality things because spending time. I think I've seen a thread where there's a lot of, this score couldn't have happened, that score couldn't have happened, that sort of stuff, and that's fine. And I think, and it needs to be formalized, and we're going to do that. But I just can't put the engineering of that ahead of things like, free tracks, the leaderboard system, the bounty system, where players can place bounties on other people's scores, and all this other fun stuff. I want to get that part finished first before I worry about, scores from 1983 getting taken out, because that's something we can always do. Like, it's not like a question as to whether or not that's possible. But the first thing that I want to do is get the forward-facing presence of Twin Galaxies easy to understand, simple to use, fun to engage with, and functional across all the most basic levels. After that, all the rest of that stuff we'll totally address. So don't worry. It will be taken care of. We've had Twin Galaxies for what, a year and 2-3 months? And that's it after being down. So we probably had Twin Galaxies for 450 days maybe. And it's gone from a totally defunct state to having the most of everything now at this point. And winning at IGB too. Just kidding. I just threw that in there. But it's not forgotten. That issue is not forgotten. We need a system like that. That system has to exist. So let me look in the chat and see what else we got. Mall of America, 22-hour drive from Fun Spot. Interesting. I've never been to Fun Spot, and I probably won't ever be able to. They don't. I'm not invited. What else? Though he won't be going for the world record. He's not good enough to beat the arcade. Listen. He's going to go, whenever someone like Steve Wiebe sits down to play Donkey Kong in a public forum, of course he's going to go for the world record. It's not like if the world record is like beckoning him, he's going to be like, no, world record, I'm not going to take you today. I'm just not going to. If he's having a game, the world record is, as far as I'm concerned, that's on the table. Now, I don't know if he's making any claims about it, but I simply know if he's sitting down there and he's going to play Donkey Kong for as long as he possibly can, he's not trying to get a low score. That's for sure. Why are there such long-lasting adjudications? Remember, every single adjudication is totally unique in terms of what it takes to push that into the database. And when that adjudication was born, when it was submitted, the state of the universe was looked at to compute what it's going to take to move it in. So most of the time, the deficiencies that I see are, you can have, because remember, it's not about how many votes something gets. It's about like the strength of the, because all votes aren't equal. You're voting with your credibility. So you could have a whole bunch of people who voted, but they have lower credibility, and it doesn't move it doesn't create enough weighting to qualify it to move it into the database, because all those people who are voting cumulatively aren't powerful enough to move the vote. And now that we've been doing this for a few months now, you're beginning to see some of the weighting take effect on these scores, whereas before everybody was equally weighted, right? And so like everything moved, but now you're starting to get this bell curve of and a differentiator of people who really give a crap and have put time and effort into their adjudications and have built up a credibility, and because of that, it moves the slope. So if you didn't do that, you're effectively comparatively much weaker than they are when it comes to helping to adjudicate something, right? So some things are going to take longer than others, just by virtue of the fact that if some of the people who have accrued larger credibility aren't voting on a particular type of game, it's not, they're consuming in the pool a certain amount of the power. So it's going to take more of these less powerful people. Now, what's also interesting though is there's this mechanic that slowly puts downward pressure on the top so you can't just rest on your laurels. You'll start, it's basically like taxes, right? So you'll start to see some equalization take place. But remember, we built this system to last over a long period of time and to have a total effect over a long period of time, not operate in small little bursts. So really what you should do if you have an adjudication that's taking a long time is you need to encourage people to vote on that adjudication in particular. You need to recruit people into Twin Galaxies, and even though they might sign up and their vote is relatively weak, it's like chipping away. It's still chipping away. And promote your performance. If you upload a performance, promote it. Promote it on your Facebook page. Promote it. Let people know my shit's up there. Come vote. Come look at it. Come participate. And that will move it. It'll have. That's the only dial that you can have an impact on out of all the dials that are in motion on an adjudication. Let's see. What else? Oh yeah, so we have this event that's coming up in October. I have 3 minutes left. It's a fun festival. Lots of stuff to do there. Lots of stuff. One of them will be some of the tournaments that will be there. If you're a member of Twin Galaxies and you want to hold a tournament yourself there, you need to contact us and let us know what it is you want to try to do, and we can determine whether or not it will match, because then if you want to run the tournament there, you could come and be invited, and then you kind of run it, and we wouldn't manage it. You would have to manage your own tournament there, but there'll be a lot of people to do to there. But I already know I want to have an Atari 2600 tournament, a classic Nintendo. I want to have a classic Sega, PlayStation, 3, Xbox, and most of these tournaments will be, I think, most, not all, I think they will be decathlon oriented. So where you get a certain amount of time on each game, get a cumulative score, and then you can compete against, the total scores that way in order to manage enough people in these tournaments. I think it'll be simple for everybody to understand, and it'll be really fun, and you'd have to be good at a lot of different games if you're gonna, have an all-around win. But similar to how they handled That's Incredible, that tournament, I think will be fun. But I think there'll also be sort of fun specific game tournaments too. We'll see. We haven't worked it all completely out. Todd Rogers wants to come down there, which would be interesting because I'd love to see if he can still hold out on an Atari 2600 tournament or if anybody could take him down. It'd be great to see that. I have 1 minute. So whatever. Adjudications are the yes, no for Breckers. Yes, yes.
Are there any words of advice for Team Twin Galaxies in the IGBY?
Yes, the words for advice for Team Twin Galaxies is don't lose. Don't take a loss as a viable answer. Reach down deep, and inside of you is a whole galaxy unto itself. And you must help everybody understand and see the magic of your galaxy. You like my triple snap?
And a snap.
Yeah, you guys are doing great. It's great to watch. In terms of specific games, we haven't thought of any specific games yet for the tournaments at the event. Haven't gotten to that point yet, but we just bought here for Twin Galaxies Studios like 17 arcade machines, so we'll have all the classics fully restored here for special events and all this other stuff. So it will be great.
Twin Galaxies.